Right. So for this particular video, I'm not going to be teaching so much do I did in the first one. We're just going to go straight to figuring out where to take trades, still using the blueprint, of course. Okay. All right, let's do this. So we stopped at boom 300. So most times the truth about this market is even if at the end of the day price doesn't get to where you intend it to go before taking your entry. Don't worry, don't stress yourself about it. Just ignore and move on. So let's look at boom 300, right? Boom 500 rather. Boom 500 is actually quite interesting because it shows a lot. So before we do anything, let's sometimes you just first try to zoom out so that you can actually understand where or what the market has been doing. So you can see I'm marking my structures, right? Now, this is not a valid break of structure. Don't forget, it's not meeting the criteria. If we want something that meets the criteria, it's going to be this diagonal break of structure, because at this point, if you look at this squarely, at this point, the body of the candles can be said to be what is actually breaking the structures. This particular high did not break this. This high did not break this. Neither this high broke this one. So none of them are valid break of structures. And so if you look at this in its entirety, people when this market existed, you see a lot of persons marking this as break of structure. They are all scam, because remember, you need break of structure first to be able to spot perfect supply and demand zones. And so if you did this back then, why boom 500 had this market scenario, it was totally wrong. All right, it was totally wrong. So just so you know, a valid break of structure must the body of the candle must break the high or the low, whichever one, not the candle wick. All right. So at this point, we can say this was simply a diagonal break of our structure. So we can just write diagonal, sorry, diagonal MSB. That's market structure break. All right, so this is a diagonal market structure break, and then of course the body of this candle broke this. Now let's move. Now, when you had this diagonal market structure break, the first thing you look out for is what was inducement. So let's switch to M5, and let me show you something very important. So when you had this diagonal market structure break, now, whenever, let me just recap for those of you that missed that particular class. Whenever you have this, and then this, sorry, let me just draw it again. Whenever you have the market making this and then does this, I'm trying to, okay, but let me go back to the example which I just saw right now. Now look at this. Look at this break of structure. You have one, you have two, you have three. Now, which are you going to take? Now, the first swing, remember, is called liquidity. The second swing is called engineered liquidity. So that's what I was trying to help you guys identify. Whenever you have three swings before the break of structure, you always go for the last one. All right. So just a side note to read. So at this point, some of you might ignore this, fine, and then take entry at this point. That is also liquidity. You're setting yourself for ambush. So the best should be actually this one. And if you look at it closely, all right, if we extend, unfortunately, market didn't. Let's look at 10 minutes. If we had a proper order block at that point, so if we look at this, you can see that it actually filled the order block. I just needed to be specific. Now, on 10 minutes, it's still fair to say that this was the inducement, and of course, this was the entry. Okay, but let's move on to where we have it's just that I like teaching, and so any new information or new market structure or anything I see complex that you might have as a challenge, I would want to always sort it out. All right, so we are going to be looking at buying boom 300, and so we have this break of structure. Let's look at our blueprints. The next thing is what to watch out for FVG. So I just like making life easy for me. Where is my FVG? You can see them here. So these on 15 minutes time frame. These on 15-minute time frame. So this is actually the major break of structure. Please not it, please, because this particular week, but I'm just trying to mark the range high. But here we go. All right, we can use this. We can work with this. So right now, if I was working with M5, I probably would have caught the spike here, right? But I'm not working with M5. I prefer M15. It just makes life easy for me. Now we have, there's something I didn't add here, range, premium, and discounts. So I'm just going to make this 7 premium and discount. It's very important. Okay, so now that we have this break of structure, where am I looking to buy? FVG. So I'm looking out for FVG. So we have this as the FVG. Now, this is an indicator anyway. So, but this is actually an FVG. All right, because two candle wicks are not touching each other. If we look at it here, or let me go to the M15. All right, so you can see this week and this week. Let me zoom in very close for you guys. You can see this candle wick and this candle wick. They are not touching each other. All right. So now this meets the criteria for a perfect order block. But then again, I am saying that we should look at for what liquidity. So whenever you have a break of structure, the first thing you look at for what is inducement. And so this is the inducement that should be what avoided. Remember, the first swing before the break of structure is the what inducement. So as much as there's FVG here, I will be ignoring this. And now so there is another FVG here. I think so. There's an FVG here. So this makes the next order block also valid. That is this order block. Now that we have avoided the inducement, break of market structure, inducement avoided, FVG present. Now this serves as a good criteria to have a pending order and of course catch those beautiful spikes. But now this would have been a perfect 7/7 if this particular order block was swept by this engulfing candle. But in this case, unfortunately, it was not swept. However, I'm still going to be taking entry here, but with minimal risk. All right, I'm still going to be taking entry here, minimal risk. Now you can see, sorry, countries there. You can see this was effective. This other block here swept this. There was FVG. So we had FVG here, FVG here. All right. And then this candle swept this previous one, making this valid enough. All right. So this actually swept the previous, but did not engulf this. So I'm going to be ignoring this. So these are some of the rules. I have to put into consideration before taking trades. So for boom 300, what then am I going to do since this does not meet the criteria for a 7 over 7? I still probably would take it, but with little risk, right? I'm going to take it little risk. So let me just look at M30. If there are actually better and valid zones, I can take signals on boom 300. This zone has been mitigated. If not, this would have been perfect. They have. And then don't forget, you also need to check if they have the other block you want to enter from is being mitigated. So you just have to keep these rules in order to make money. So let's go to crash 500. Crash 500. I caught some little spikes on this morning, right? So you always need to zoom out and understand where you are. So this is the current high I can currently see. I don't want to zoom so hard and all that. I just want to work with what exists right now. So this is the current high I can currently see. And of course, this is the diagonal break of structure, because if you look at this is a candle wick that broke this previous one. So this is what a perfect break of structure is. And now when we had this break of structure, this acted as inducement, and of course, this would be the order block. But now, do you know why this other block is not valid? Uh, I mean, I really do not want to put so much information out there, but let's do this. Now, the reason why this other block is not valid is because after an FVG has been mitigated, now take a look at this. This is an FVG. Just follow me closely. I'm about to show you something spiritual. Anytime an FVG has been mitigated effectively, such that price respected it and moved so well, the other block most times will not hold. Yes, from experience, I have been able to deduce this out. Whenever, assuming this particular FVG had no reaction, you can see price coming to this FVG and moving to a large degree. All right. If we had a situation where price did not mitigate this FVG, it's just moved past it, comes to this other block, then would have used it. And on the flip side of things, this particular order block, as much as it swept liquidity, it did not engulf the previous candle, and so it doesn't meet the perfect criterion to what take this trade. Right. So that was how I think I was able to avoid temptation yesterday. Knowing when to avoid certain trades is also important. Now, if you look at this was a change of character, all right, and then of course we had a fair value gap here from this point to this point, and of course this is a perfect what order block. Why? It swept liquidity, it also engulfed, all right. So what are we going to be doing on Crash 500 as it stands now? We need to wait for this low, this current low that is existing, to break this. Now, the moment it breaks this, I'll be so glad, because we are going to make so much money. So the moment it breaks this, you can see it's trying to break it. I'm just waiting for it to break this. The moment it breaks this place becomes what valid, because I can see we have an FVG here. We have an FVG here, which we expect price after breaking the structure to rally back to this order block. And of course, now this particular one swept liquidity from behind. And of course, we now have a new inducement. So every criteria has been met for a successful trade on this particular one. So FVG present, change of character, more like a mini break of structure, is about to happen. And then the moment it happens, this now acts what as what inducement. So once we have inducement set, FVG set, order block ready, voila. So this is what's going to be happening on Crash 500. right? But if this doesn't break this structure, I'll be less concerned about taking entries on this. Let's go crash 1000. What do we have? I think crash 1000 has been rallying down. So personally, all these are all traps for me. All these are all traps. I would have taken this signal, but I will take it. This is the same thing on boom 500. But if I was supposed to go in with a crazy lot size, I will go in with something very minimal because this didn't sweep a previous liquidity. This even looks more like what should serve. All right. I'm not going to, I don't have so much time to break down all this and tell you why. I actually took this one in the morning, but made just a little profit out of it. And so, if you want good places where you can actually look for sell entries on Crash 1000, so let's look at Crash 300, and then we'll look at gold, forex. Okay, now this would have been nice. Sometimes you just need to switch time frames to be certain you know what you're doing. Okay, it doesn't meet the full criteria I want, but I think I see there's something I can still work with. I like what I see here. Now we have what's a break of what? Okay, it's not a break of structure. Now you can see this is very tricky. So we don't even really have a valid break of structure on Crash 300 yet. However, I think we can still work with it. All right. So I just need it to break this whole leg which you see here is actually an inducement. All right. Okay. So I'm waiting for price to come to this point and then I can look for what entries. But even at this point, I'm still going to be careful. Why? Because there was no valid break of structure. I mean, assuming this actually got to this point such that we have a full body breaking this low, which we have here, then of course on that 30-minute time frame, all we now have to do is okay, was FVG present enough for me to mark this as the order block? Anyway, let's check. Crash 300. So let's go to M30. This is one of those pairs with. All right, so we have this as the full FVG. So there's actually no FVG there. All right, so is there any pair we have not looked at? Boom 1000. So let me just move over this. Boom 1000. One of my sweetest pair. It can just change your life all of a sudden. So Boom 1000 is quite crazy this morning. I don't know what plans it has after seeing where it reacted from. That was quite crazy, seeing it react from this point. But I think we can work with something. We can work with something. I really need it to break this high at this level. It hasn't broken it. I'm trying to see are there places we can actually buy this wonderful pair from. Okay, let's go to this. So let me just go to M5. We have a lot of FVGs. We have this. We have a lot actually. Uh, I'm trying to work with M5. I'm trying to work with M5. Let me go to M3. Okay. Now, the reason I'm picking this, I know by now you know why. After FVG, I'm picking this week or so. Led all these ones didn't have a they didn't sweep liquidity. They didn't take out the previous. Unlike this one that took out, this one is flat. So they are all traps. These are just little ways I confirm which level might have the potential to hold. All right, so boom 1000 done, boom 500 done, boom 300 is still coming back to that place. Crash 1000. It just feels like I don't know. I don't have any plans. The only thing